So we'll start with our conversation. I think we didn't reach here as yet, right?
We did.
We did?
Yeah, we did. Exactly.
Hmm?
This one. I'm going to 53rd, 55.
متى we did متى تستيقظ?
Yeah, the
Huh?
53rd page.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, these are just the vocabularies, right? We can skip those. Those are the vocabularies. Come. Don't put your head close in your mouth. Sit at the back. Okay. For our new brother, Abdul Rauf, right? The other videos, we have them on YouTube. You're going to need to do some catching up. You can see how you manage, inshallah. But the nature of the program is like a crash course. So we're taking a lot in at once. Al-Wahda, or Al-Wahda, sorry. So this is Al-Wahda Al-Rabi'a, the fourth unit, right? The fourth unit. Al-Ard, the display of the unit, the presentation of the unit. Ad-Dars, the lesson. Ad-Dars At-Tasi' Ashra. Ad-Dars At-Tasi' Ashra. Right, the 19th lesson. Now these numbers can be tricky, right? The 19th lesson. Tariq. So this here we have a conversation between Tariq and Tahir. We mentioned al-hiwar al-awwal. Al-hiwar means what? Conversation. انظر واستمع وأعد. انظر, look. واستمع. What is واستمع? Listen. وأعد, and repeat. طارق متى تستيقظ. متى تستيقظ. متى means when, right? متى means when. And this is the when in asking a question generally, right? Generally, when asking a question. Now it not always used when asking a question, but generally when asking a question. متى تستيقظ. When تستيقظ means wake up. You wake. When you wake, right? تستيقظ means you wake. So متى تستيقظ, when you wake. Now when do you wake? You can, as we mentioned in the Arabic expression, right? You might have words that are not there that are present in English. So تستيقظ by itself means you wake. متى by itself means when. So, when you wake, when do you wake? Tahir, he responded, أستيقظ عند الفجر. أستيقظ means I wake, right? أستيقظ means I wake. عند means, here it means at. Here, عند means at. Now, عند has two general meaning. It can mean at, and it can mean with. It can mean at, and it can mean with. Right? أستيقظ عند الفجر. I wake at al-fajr, meaning the time of al-fajr. أستيقظ عند الفجر. Tariq. Now, we are gonna come across later why this inda has fatha, why this has kasra. right? Tariq, he asks again, أين تصلي الفجر? أين تصلي الفجر? أين means where, right? Min أين أنت? From where are you? أين تصلي means, where is تصلي? You pray, right? تصلي means you pray. So أين تصلي? Where you pray al-fajr, where you pray al-fajr. So now, here what he meant is what? Where you pray salat al-fajr, right? The fajr prayer. Where you pray the fajr prayer. Usalli al-fajr fil masjid. Usalli, I pray al-fajr, fajr prayer, fil masjid, in the masjid. Now note here, tusalli ends with a sukun. And then here it starts with a sukun. Al-fajr, right? You remember we said this alif? This alif means it's, this alif is hamzatul wasl. You only read it in the middle of this, in the beginning of the sentence. So it's, if you don't start with this word, you don't pronounce this alif. If you start with the word, you pronounce the alif. So you have sukun here, right, on the lam. So what's the ruling if you continue? You have to drop the weak letter, right? Because here, the first sukun is on a weak letter. What are the weak letters? Alif, ya, and waw. So you drop the weak letter. So you're going to be أَيْنَ تُصَلِّي الْفَجْرَ, right? From the lam straight to the lam. أَيْنَ تُصَلِّي الْفَجْرَ. Same thing here, right? أُصَلِّي الْفَجْرَ فِي الْمَسْجِد. Same thing you do with the fi, right? It's fi al-masjid. When you read it together, you say fil masjid. Another thing to note, and that is what we mentioned many times, right? Expression. Now, fajr by itself, it's a time of the day, right? Like how you have sunrise, sunset, dawn, dusk, zenith. Fajr is a time of the day, right? Generally, the dawn time, right? Generally, the dawn time. Now here, when he say, I wake up at al-fajr, that's the word used originally, right? There's nothing hidden really here. I wake up at al-fajr, meaning this time of the day that is known as al-fajr. Now when he say, I pray al-fajr, there is something understood there. What is understood? I pray the salah of the time of fajr, right? Now all of those things are understood. Where you understand it from? Your common sense, right? And that is how they mention it, right? There are certain things that are understood, right? There's certain evidence, even in fiqh, they call it dalil aqli, right? Intellectual evidence, common sense, right? And that is one of the evidence here for the grammar. How you understand that? From your common sense. You don't need to study no book. You don't need to study no philosophy, nothing. Just need some common sense, right? And people don't realize they have it, inshallah. Right? It's just now I pointing it out to become technical. But all the time you understand it, right? They didn't have any issue with it. Tariq, هل تنام بعد الصلاة? هل تنام بعد الصلاة? Now let's leave out the hal. تنام بعد الصلاة means, tana means you sleep or you are sleeping, right? The two in Arabic is the same. The present tense, in English you have the present and you have the present continuous. Those two in Arabic is the same, right? Like for example, say I eat apple, I am eating apple. Those two the same in Arabic. The context is going to tell you when to translate to I eat apple or I am eating apple, right? So tanam, you sleep or you are sleeping. Ba'da is after. Ba'da, after. As-salah is salah. Right? So you sleep after salah, or you are sleeping after salah. Now hal is for question. This flips it into a question, right? We said to make a question in Arabic, put hal or a, right? A question that needs yes or no to the answer. So, do you sleep after this salah, right? Do you sleep after the salah? Tahir, he say, la, no. La anamu ba'da salah. La anamu ba'da salah. Tanam, you sleep. Anam, I sleep. Or I am sleeping, right? La anamu ba'da salah. I do not sleep after the salah. We say la is negation. Just understand it as negation. Now, depending on the sentence you're negating, you can translate it appropriately. So, la anamu ba'da salah. I do not sleep after the salah. Tariq, ماذا تفعل بعد الصلاة? Mada means what? Taf'alu, you do or you are doing. Taf'alu, you do or you are doing. Ba'da is after the salah. So we have what do you do after the salah, right? What do you do after the salah? He's asking him general questions, right? What do you do after the salah? Aqra'u al-Qur'an, I read the Qur'an, right? Now here he is asking general question. Aqra'ka means I read, and it means I'm reading. Now why is it you're not going to translate it to I am reading? He's not asking him something specific at this moment. What are you doing now? He's asking him general question. So when you make in general statement of the present tense, you say I read, right? You leave out the ing. When you speak in something generally that happens currently, right? That's English. Now remember, as I mentioned, write down make sure you write down the meaning of the sentence. The number one thing is not to understand the structure of the sentence, right? That is not the number one thing right now. The number one thing is you memorizing the sentence with the meaning. So, ماذا تفعل بعد الصلاة? You memorize that entire phrase. What do you do after the salah? ماذا تفعل بعد الصلاة? What do you do after the salah? Right? And it can also mean what are you doing after the salah? Right? When it's going to mean what are you doing? If he's asking him about a salah right now, right? What are, like for example, Asr is coming up. He wants to know what you're doing after Salatul Asr today, right now, for this day. He's not asking him generally what he normally do after Salatul Asr. So you're going to translate it like that, right? So ماذا تفعل بعد الصلاة? What do you do after the salah? What are you doing after the salah? Right? Memorize it like that. That is the number one main thing. If you understand the structure, alhamdulillah. If you don't understand the structure, don't worry. Right? Give yourself time. And at the beginning, as I mentioned many times, in the beginning of learning the language, don't worry about understanding the structure. Rather, don't try to kill yourself. If you understand it, you understand it. If you don't understand it, just keep memorizing the sentences with the meaning. So he say, أقرأ القرآن, I read the Quran. طارق, ومتى تذهب إلى المدرسة? ومتى تذهب إلى المدرسة? Wa is an, mata, when. Tadhabu means you go or you are going. Ila, to. Al-madrasa, the school. Right? So he's asking him, when do you go to school? Right? When do you go to school? Is a general question. Right? If he was asking him, if the context was that he's asking him about today, when he's going to school, you're going to translate it as, when are you going to school? Same exact sentence. Right? But right now they're speaking generally. He's not asking him about at the moment. وَمَتَى تَذْهَبُ إِلَى الْمَدْرَسَةِ? When do you go to school? And it can also mean, when are you going to school? Don't confuse yourself, right? Sometimes you see it translate like this, sometimes you see it translate like this. You want to know when, right? When is the when? Depending on the context, you will translate it like this, and depending on the context, you translate it like this. This context here is general. وَمَتَى تَذْهَبُ إِلَى الْمَدْرَسَةِ? When do you go to school? Right? وَمَتَى تَذْهَبُ إِلَى الْمَدْرَسَةِ? When do you go to school? طاهر أذهب الساعة السابعة. أذهب الساعة السابعة. If you read it straight, أذهب الساعة السابعة. Right? I go 7 o'clock. Right? 7 o'clock, that's when I go to school. Now that's the literal meaning. I go, when you go, 7 o'clock. Right? In English, you got to add I go, what? At 7 o'clock. Right? You say I go 7 o'clock. Permissible? Yeah. If it's permissible, it's permissible. Right? The main thing, you know how you express in Arabic. Right? I go 7 o'clock. أذهب الساعة السابعة. طارق هل تذهب بالسيارة؟ هل تذهب بالسيارة؟ Now هل, as we know, for question. تذهب, you go, you are going. B is with, السيارة is car. Right? So he's asking, do you go with car? Do you go with car? Right? Literally, do you go with the car? Do you go with the car? Now note the with that they use in this context, going somewhere, right? With the means of transportation. So you're not going to use ma'a, and you're not going to use inda, right? What you use? Be. What you use? Be, right? That's all we need for know right now. Just understand what they use, just learn what they use. Sorry, not understand, but just know what they use. Understand why they use be instead of ma'a and inda, right? They're going to come later on as you get into the language. طاهر لا أذهب بالحافلة. No, I go with the bus. Right? أذهب بي الحافلة. أذهب بالحافلة. حافلة is bus. Right? حافلة is bus. So, as I mentioned, right, the number one objective is memorizing it as it is, full out. Don't split up the word or anything. Memorize it as it is. Everyone had a conversation. Everyone had a copy. You had a copy of the conversation. You had one? Everyone else get? You got conversation, Ismail? You got a copy? Huh? Is one. You get one? Ibrahim, Abdul Rahman? You had one? Huh? Is there any more? Now, most of the words shouldn't be strange, right? Tastayqiz, astayqiz, sleep. Wake up. Tusalli from salah, right? Aina we did, masjid, noon. Tanam, right? We did tanam before, right? Naum, right? Tanam is to do naum. Naum is sleep, right? La ta'khudhuhu sinatun wala naum, right? No sleep. No drowsiness nor sleep overcomes him. Right? Ba'da is after. Taf'alu, to do, you do. Aqra, right? Famous word, right? Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Right? The command form. Read in the name of your Lord who created. Mata, tadhhab, all of these we did, right? Sa'a. By itself means two things generally. As-sa'a by itself can means the hour right? And it can means watch or clock, right? It can mean watch or clock, the device that shows the time, right? For example, in the famous hadith of Jibril, when Jibril came and asked the Prophet ﷺ the three questions, right? What is Islam? What is Iman? What is Ihsan? And then he asks, Mata Sa'a, right? When is the hour? Which hour? The last hour, the day of judgment, right? The last hour, the day of judgment. Mata Sa'a. When is the hour? Now, when you see in time, this is the structure generally, right? For the head of the time, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It's structured like this, right? We're gonna see if they have the. No, we didn't put in. The timing can get a little technical, but for the what you do in the beginning, each time that you come across, memorize it just as it is. And if you figure out the pattern, that's the easiest way to learn it. Compared to if you got to learn the principle and apply it, right? You just keep memorize it, and if you figure out the pattern, you're good to go. Tadhhab, we did tadhhab. Sayyara means car. But what is the original meaning for sayyara? Is sayyara in the Quran? Right? If you're thinking car is not in the Quran, but the word is in the Quran. Caravan, right? Sayyara means caravan. That's the original meaning with more means of transportation. Right? In Surah Yusuf, what is the verse? وَجَاءَتْ سَيَّارَةٌ فَأَرْسَلُوا وَارِدَهُمْ. Right? A caravan came, not a car. جَاءَتْ سَيَّارَةٌ. Right? A caravan came, فَأَرْسَلُوا وَارِدَهُمْ. So they send, meaning the people from the caravan send their the waterman, right, to pull water from the well. And then he found Yusuf. Okay, let's take, let me see how much, let's try to take 2 more, inshallah. Oh, we finish this. Al-Hiwar al-Thani, the second conversation. Right, at the end of the conversations, before we move to the next, if there is anything unclear, any words or so, make sure you ask, right? Brothers and for the sisters. Unzur wastami' wa'a'id, right? Look, wastami' and listen, wa'a'id and repeat. For the sake of time, we skip out the repeat, but make sure you're reading it loud on your own. Al-Um, hadha yawmul utlati. So it's a conversation between the parents and the children. Right here we have Al-Um, the mother, Al-Ab, the father. Hadha yawmul utlati. Hadha is this. Yawm is by itself day. Al-Utla means the holiday. Right? Al-Utla means the holiday. Right? Or the break. Al-Utla, there is no work. The day there is no work. Holiday. So here literally the meaning is Yawmul Utla, the day of no work. The day of no work, right? The day of no work. Where is the one single word for no work?
Day off.
No, there is not one word. And then you use 2 different words there, day and off. Vacation? No, vacation is a whole different implication they're giving you. Right, but let's understand, right? The day of no work, we're going to use it, right? Till you find a single word for utla. That is the literal meaning. And this is from the which construction? The al-mudaf ilay, right? The car of the teacher, right? Day of no work, right? Now, when the two words come together, is going to represent what we have in English, holiday, right? Holiday. So, هذا يوم العطلة. This is the day of no work. This is a holiday. This is holiday. This is holiday, meaning today is holiday. As again, you know each word what it means. هذا يوم العطلة. And you know what they're trying to express. That's the main thing, right? Don't try to understand the structure or make sense out of their wording. That's the Arabic wording. That's how they express, right? If you translate literally, this is the day of no work, or this is the day of freeness, right? It might make, in your head, it's not making sense. That's because you think in English, right? Now you you translate that understanding into English. You're going to mean today is holiday. You're not going to even translate hada, right? You're going to say today is holiday if you're doing an official translation. It's not holiday, Brother Farouk. I see you watching that. Right? Hada. So the mother is saying today is holiday. The father, no, nobody's saying. Nobody's seeing. The father is saying, هذا يوم العمل. This is the day of work. Right? You got to go work, right? Today is day of work. Okay, let me pause for the adhan, inshallah, and then finish out the time.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah.
Let's continue. So the father say, this is the day of holiday, or this is holiday. The mother say, this is, sorry, the opposite, right? The mother say, this is holiday, and the father say, this is work day, right? Or the day of work. Now again and again and again, right? This is, you want to say, this is work day. هذا يوم العمل. Why the alif and lam? Don't worry about all of that right now, right? Literally, you're going to think this is the day of the work, right? It's not synchronizing in your head. Why is saying this is the day of the work? That's because you're thinking what? English. Just note, when you say هذا يوم العمل, this is work day, This is work day, or today is work day. الأب ماذا ستفعل يا طه؟ ماذا ستفعل يا طه? تفعل means you do, right? تفعل by itself. تفعل by itself, you do. Now this scene puts a present tense into the future, definitely. So تفعل means you do. ستفعل, you will do, right? So like before, تستيقظ, you wake. ستستيقظ, you will wake. أستيقظ, I wake. سأستيقظ, I will wake, right? So ماذا, what? ستفعل, you will do by itself. يا طه, O طه. Now when you put it together, you're going to mean, what will you do, O طه? What will you do, O طه? طه, he said, سأكنس غرفة الجلوس. سأكنس. Now أكنس by itself means I vacuum, right? I vacuum or clean, right? Most of the time it's used for vacuuming, right? For vacuuming. But it can also mean to clean. Can also mean to clean generally. Not like if you wipe in your car and cleaning. Not that cleaning like cleaning the rug and picking up the dust. That kind of cleaning. So aknusu, I vacuum. Sa'aknusu, I will vacuum. Ghurfatal julus. Ghurfa is room. Al julus by itself is sitting, right? The room of sitting. We said this is the equivalent to living room, right? We did this last week, right? Ghurfatal julus is going to mean the living room, right? The room of sitting meaning living room. I will vacuum the living room. So what the father, when he said today is work day, what he meant? Chores day, right? He meant chores day. He's speaking, what? Figuratively? From one angle is figuratively and one angle is literally, right? The she asked, وَمَاذَا سَتَفْعَلِينَ يَا فَاطِمَةَ? Now, تَفْعَلِين, now note all the تَفْعَلُ we did before was speaking to what do you call it? A male, right? You are doing, right? A male. Now here the mother is asking Fatima. Now it doesn't matter who's speaking. For this, it doesn't matter who's speaking. If the father was asking Fatima, the mother was asking Fatima, it's the same question, right? But who you speaking to, right? Who the verb is attributing to, that is what matter. So, what will you do, O Fatima? You're not going to say, ماذا ستفعل. That is when you're asking a male, what will you do? You're asking a female, what will you do? ماذا ستفعلين. ماذا ستفعلين. What will you do, O Fatima? Right? Again, don't try understanding where this ya and nun come from. Just know it just like that. You want to ask a female, what will you do? ماذا ستفعلين. Right? The same thing for the other verbs. Right? As an example. You ask the brother, where are you going? أين تذهب. Female, أين تذهبين. Right? Fatima, she say, سأكنس غرفة النوم. I will vacuum غرفة النوم, the room of sleeping, right? The bedroom. The room of sleeping, the bedroom. Now here, when she say, I will vacuum, the verb is referring back to her. Now first person is the same in Arabic, right? When you say I, whether the I that is speaking is male or female, it doesn't matter. The she asked, وَمَاذَا سَتَفْعَلُ يَا أَحْمَدُ? And what will you do, O Ahmad? Ahmad, he say, Sa'agsilul malabis. Right? I will wash. Agsil means I wash or I am washing. Sa'agsil, I will wash. Sa'agsilul malabis. I will wash the clothes. Sa'agsilul malabis. I will wash the clothes. Right? Al malabis is clothes. Or, yeah. Right? Everybody should know Agsil, easy, right? Ghusl Yawm al-Jum'ah, right? Bathing on Jum'ah. From the same word. Are you washing your body? Right? In the famous verse of wudu. Ya alladhina amanu idha kumtum ila as-salah faghsilu. Right? When you stand to pray, wash your face. Faghsilu. The وَمَاذَا سَتَفْعَلِينَ يَا فَاطِمَةَ. And what will you do, O Fatima? Sorry, Ya Latifa, O Latifa. Latifa, she said, Sa'akwi al-malabis, I will iron the clothing. Right? Akwi is iron. Right? Everybody knows iron. Right? Caribbean English, press. Right? Iron, use the iron board. Or today use the steamer. Right? Akwi, I press. Sa'akwi, I will press the clothing. The Jadda, the grandfather, he adding, Sa'agsilu al-atbaq. Sorry, the grandmother. Al-jaddatu. Sa'agsilu al-atbaq. I will wash the dishes. Atbaq is dishes. The Jad, the grandfather. Ana sa'aqra'u al-Qur'an. I will read the Qur'an. Okay. We're going to pause here, inshallah, and resume 5. Let's resume. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As-salatu was-salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So, before we go to the next book, did we finish? Yeah, we finished this. So, most of the words here we came across, right? We have aknus, it means to vacuum, and it can also refer to cleaning, right? Yeah, cleaning with like a broom. Taf'alin, right? This is the pattern for the second person feminine, right? When you're speaking to a you, female. All the other words we came across. Atbaq, right? Al-atbaq in this context referring to the dishes, right? Al-atbaq. The word have other meanings, but here when you say ana sa'agsilu al-atbaq, I will wash the atbaq, referring to the dishes, and you have an image there to help. Al-hiwar al-thalith, the third conversation. Okay, so let's complete this one and we move to the book. This is a conversation between Adil and Faisal. Adil, Mata tastayqidhu yawm al-utlati. Mata tastayqidhu yawm al-utlati. Mata, when? Tastayqidh, you wake. Yawm al-utla, day of no work, right? The holiday, right? Also, Yawm al-utla, it can refer to a holiday or it can refer to the weekend also, right? It can refer to the weekend. So Saturday, you can say Saturday, hadha yawm al-utla. Sunday, hadha yawm al-utla. Right? It happened to have a day like, what was the holiday before, just before? Independence Day, hadha yawm al-utla. Right? Now, if you want to refer to the weekend specifically, they call it utlatul usbu, right? Al-usbu, remember, it's week, right? Al-usbu means the week. So, utlatul usbu is going to be weekend, right? The holiday of the week, which is the weekend, right? So Yawm al-Utla, the day of no work, meaning whenever there is a holiday, right? Whether it's Sunday, whether it's Saturday, or whether it's some other random holiday. Mata tastayqidh, when do you wake on that day? Faisal, astayqidhu mubakkiran, I wake mubakkiran, early. Astayqidhu mubakkiran, I wake early. Now when the word early is used, something happening early, you use it like this, mubakkiran. Right? Don't worry why there is fatha, dhamma or kasra. Right? You use it like this. Astayqidhu mubakkiran.
Look at the ACT or downstairs.
The AC?
The ACT.
The AC what?
I think the AC.
The one the AC?
Yeah.
The thermostat is open. Tell the teacher press on it twice.
Wait, the second one was not.
The thermostat?
The one by
Then
the office. It's not.
yeah. So I wake mubakkiran. Right? Early. I go to the masjid early, gonna be adhabu ila al-masjidi mubakkiran. I go to school early, adhabu ila al-madrasati mubakkiran. Right? I go to the school early. Anything. Right? What we had here. أذهب إلى المدرسة أذهب إلى المسجد أذهب إلى الصلاة مبكرا. I go to the salah early. Anything you want to say that you're doing it or it's happening early, you say mubakkiran. Mubakkiran. As if you pronounce it tanween or mubakkira. No, I wake. This word by itself, tastayqidhu, means wake. Now when you translate it to English, you're going to translate it to suit English grammar. Right? So, for example, when you say, we gave an example with the conversation we did last week. For example, if you say, well, it's not going to really affect with the present tense. Mata tastayqidh, when do you wake? Right? You say, when do you wake in English? Compared to if you were to say mata istayqadhta, use the past tense. When, literally in Arabic, it's going to be when you woke, but you're not going to say what you say in English. When did you wake? Same thing, right?
The answer is like in English, it's like I woke.
No, I wake. Astayqidhu, I wake. All is present tense. Right? So mata tastayqidh, when do you wake? Astayqidhu, I wake. Astayqidhu, I wake. I said woke.
But in English, like if you ask a question and you said,
No, what he meant here is generally. He's not asking about a specific day. It's a general thing, right? When you normally wake up on weekends or holidays, right? I wake early, right? It's generally. He's not asking about a specific day. Faisal, وَمَتَى تَسْتَيْقِظُ أَنْتَ, right? وَمَتَى تَسْتَيْقِظُ أَنْتَ, or when do you wake? Ant. We explained this ant, right? When you put the anta there, the you, repeat the pronoun. When do you wake? Up to here, when do you wake is up to here. وَمَتَى تَسْتَيْقِظ is you have the you already there. When do you wake? And then you repeat the you, it's because he's emphasizing, when do you wake? You. You're asking me when I wake? When do you wake? Understand? Adil, he say, astayqidhu mutaakhiran. I wake late. Right? Mutaakhiran, late. Opposite of mubakkiran. Adhabu ila al-amali mutaakhiran. I go to work late. If I ask limadha ataita mutaakhiran. Why? Limadha? Why? Ataita? You came mutaakhiran, late. Right? Mutaakhiran. Faisal, ماذا تفعل في الصباح? What do you do fi in as-sabah. Sabah means morning, right? Athkaru sabah wal masa, right? The supplication of the morning and the evening, right? As-sabah. What do you do in the morning? ماذا تفعل في الصباح? Remember only that general question. عادل أشاهد التلفاز. أشاهد التلفاز. Ushahid means watch here, right? It can means witness. It can means to view. Remember with the furniture when he said uridu mushahadata al-athath. I want the viewing of the furniture and the appliances. So here in this context, it's gonna mean I watch the TV, right? Ushahidu at-tilfaz. Together, ushahidu at-tilfaz. وَمَاذَا تَفْعَلُ أَنْتَ? And what do you do? أَقْرَأُ صَحِيفَةً. أَقْرَأُ صَحِيفَةً. أَقْرَأ, I read. صَحِيفَة means here a newspaper, right? But it can refer to anything that have pages. A صحيفة is anything that have loose pages generally, right? Not going to be a book that is normally combined. Right? But anything scrolls, newspapers, it can sometimes refer to magazine. But generally when you use it in this context, it's newspaper. أقرأ صحيفة, I read a newspaper. أو كتابا, or a book. أو means or. أو or. There's two words for or in Arabic generally. أو or am. أو or am. Right? So I read a newspaper or a book. عادل أين تصلي الجمعة? أين تصلي الجمعة? Right? Where do you pray the Jumu'ah? Faisal usalli al-Jumu'ata fi al-Masjidi al-Kabir. Right? Usalli al-Jumu'ata fi al-Masjidi al-Kabir. I pray the Jumu'ah in the Masjid big. Right? Arabic, noun, then adjective. In the big Masjid. Now note all of the rules we mentioned applied. Masjid, singular, big, singular. Masjid has alif and lam, alif and lam. Kasra, kasra. Right? Masculine, masculine. Everything match up, so it's a noun and adjective formation. Right? Usalli al-Jumu'ata fil Masjid al-Kabir. I pray the Jumu'ah in the big masjid. Wa ayna tusalli ant? And where do you pray? Usalli fil Masjid al-Kabiri aydan. I pray in the big masjid aydan. Where is aydan? Also, right? Or ayda, if you stop on the word ayda, ayda, you're going to mean also. And that's something you gotta program your ears with, right? And that's why you need a lot of listening, right? Remember we said one of the guidelines, try to listen to at least half an hour Arabic. Because some speakers, they may pronounce the last vowel. And some speakers, they may end with the sukoon. So you gotta be able to detect it. Now after listening and listening, right, it's gonna be natural. You're not gonna have to worry, what is it? Because aydan, you can be hearing a noon, or you can be hearing, thinking that the word ends with a noon, right? But the word actually ends with a tanween, fath, and alif. So again, as I said, with these conversations, try to memorize them. The word is, in Arabic is Jumu'ah. In Arabic is Jumu'ah. يا الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة. Right? In Arabic, the word is Jumu'ah. Okay. So any other questions? for the conversations. Huh?
Should we memorize the word, the lesson, even though we know the structure and the words?
If you know the words and the structure, but you still got to think to formulate the sentence, memorize it.
What if you don't know the words? We know the structure.
How would it possible? You're asking a theoretical question or
Like,
memorize it. Memorize it with the meaning. Let's- where is the next one? All right, there's it. Okay. So we finish for this book. Okay, this is where we left off. Before we continue, let's just go through this exercise. Most people, they get everything correct, alhamdulillah.
forgot to
Hmm?
my homework last week.
Just right. Remember, we always have homework. If there's not an exercise, you gotta memorize and learn the vocabs. And like I mentioned, right? Any course, try to give it all you get, so that you complete what the course requires from you. Like that, you can progress. And remember, shaitan gonna always comes in your way, right? You're gonna always create distractions and excuse and so on. Anything that is not necessary, put it to the side, right? A friend want you go eat out during this time, right? No big issue, right? Put it to the side, right? A regular everyday family get together, put it aside. That is different than somebody getting married, right? Once in a lifetime event, depending on who is it, right? For most people, once in a lifetime. Okay. So, ar-rajul al-masroor, masroor we said by itself mean happy, right? So, ar-rajul al-masroor, everything matching up, so it's going to be the happy man, right? Ar-rajulu masroorun. Now, everything here is not matching, right? There's no alif and lam, right? Everything else matched, right? Rajul, masculine. This ar-rajulu masroor, there's, what do you call it? There is dhamma, but there is no alif and lam, right? Just leave it with Abu Masjid. Right? So everything is not matching up, so it can be what? Noun and adjective. Now there's an alif and lam here on the first word, so it can be al-mudaf wal-mudaf ilay construction, right? Remember what is al-mudaf, mudaf ilay construction is a construction where you say the pen of the teacher or the teacher's pen, right? Where you use the apostrophe or the of. So it can be any of those. So what is it? Now if you know the vocabs, rajul means man, masroor means happy. It's going to mean the man is happy, right? If you know the vocab, it's going to be easy. The man is happy. That's what it's possible to mean. هذا مسك طيب. هذا مسك طيب. So misk is misk, right? The musk, perfume. طيب means good, right? Now everything is matching up here. So it's going to be, this two word here is going to be noun and adjective. Good perfume or good musk. Hada is, this is, right? This is good musk. It's not going to mean this musk is good. right? It's not possible to mean this musk is good, and we're going to deal with that phrase there. Misk or musk, which one? It depends which language you're speaking. Huh?
Musk.
What are you speaking?
English, musk.
Musk, and what is Arabic?
Misk.
Good, so both correct.
You said musk.
Huh?
You said musk.
And cause obstruction unnecessarily. If you understand, that is the main thing. Right? Hada miskun tayyib. This is good misk. Right? This is good perfume. So we have kalbun kabirun, right? Kalb, dog, kabir, big, everything matching. So is going to mean big dog. Fil masjid, in the masjid. Right? A big dog in the masjid. Now, remember we said, now in English, how we really express this? We say, there is a big dog in the masjid. Right? So that's going to be the perfect translation. There is a big dog in the masjid. If you say a big dog is in the masjid, is also correct. Right? A big dog is in the masjid. There is a big dog in the masjid. A big dog in the masjid. Right? Any one of those is going to be correct. Al-kalbul kabir fil bayt. Now here is a big dog. Here is the big dog. Right? Is in the house. The big dog is in the house. Hada tajirun ghaniyun. Right? We have tajir, merchant, ghani, rich. Everything is matching. So it's not an adjective, right? This is a rich merchant. It won't be this merchant is rich. We're going to deal with that formation, inshallah, and how to differentiate. Now, let's imagine that there is no vowels here. You have hadha, you have misk, you have tayyib. There is no vowels. Right? Remember we said the number one thing to know what a sentence means is the, what do you call it? Knowing the words, the vocabulary. Right? Knowing the words, the vocabulary, and what is intended. And then you apply the grammar to form that formation of whatever you intend. So you have this, you have misk without an alif and lam, you have tayyib without an alif and lam. Right? It's not possible to mean this is a perfume of good. Right? It's not possible to mean this is a perfume of good. Right? So only one possibility is this is a good perfume. Right? There is no the in the sentence. There is no alif and lam. So that is not a possible meaning. Right? Same thing here. It's not possible to mean a merchant of rich. Right? Because there is no, the meaning doesn't, what do you call it? Is not correct. Then there is no alif and lam, right? There is no the, right? So the only possible meaning is this is a rich merchant. And you're going to get accustomed. You're going to get accustomed to it. Huh? Ar-rajul masrur. So ar-rajul is the man, right? The man. And masrur is happy. So there is only, the man is happy. It can be the man of the happy, because remember in that construction, the first word don't take alif and lam. Right? And it can be non-adjective because it doesn't match up, like the first one. The first one, everything matches. The fifth lesson. Now the first, we have an exercise before we continue. Everybody, take 20 seconds, read this headline here, and note in your head what is wrong. Right? There is a typo in this. Just note in your head. Look at it. What is wrong? Something wrong with this headline. Applying the rule we just say. Right? Everybody note it in your head.
Do you say it?
No. 20 seconds. 20 seconds done? Okay. We want One of the sisters say or write which word is incorrect, or the vowel of which word is incorrect. Just one of the Amin, what you were saying? You got the two for Qira'ah. What do you say, Khalil? Which one is incorrect? You get it? Huh? We- Qira'ah is incorrect.
So, because
Any other opinion? Hmm? Okay. So next question then. All right. So Qira'ah is incorrect. The what is incorrect?
yeah, Kesser. Didn't.
Right, the first where is the mouse? The first thing to determine the tashkil, the vowels. Remember we said what? First thing, the vocabs. Know what the meaning is supposed to be. And then you know the grammar to form that structure, right? Or is it jumping? Is it me or is the TV? So we have Fadl means virtue, right? Qira'ah means reading. And Quran means Quran, right? So virtue, reading, Quran. What the meaning supposed to be? Right? The virtue of reading the Quran. So that's the meaning. So we get a typo with the translation. Guys, one. Right? Remember, you guys make sure you note down all the typo. Then, that's the which construction? The mudaf construction, right? Everybody get that one right. The mudaf construction, right? So it's supposed to be fadlu qira'atil Quran. Fadlu qira'atil Quran. The virtue of reading the Quran. Fadlu qira'atil Qur'ani. Right? Fadlu qira'atil Qur'ani. Now remember this word here, as we mentioned last week. We gave examples. It's serving two purposes here. You have the virtue of the reading. So it's going to take kasra because it's the second word for this one. Right? And it's also the first word for the Quran. Reading of the Quran. So there won't be any alif and lam on this one, and there won't be any tanween. So there no alif and lam, no tanween, right? Virtue of the reading of the Quran. That's the literal meaning. Virtue of the reading of the Quran. Or the virtue of reading the Quran. The translation is not an issue. The main thing you understand it, the concept in the Arabic, right? قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Right? The messenger of Allah. Right? Keep repeating. Qala, he said. Right? Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Right? Peace, may the praise and the peace of Allah be upon him. We're going to explain this structure later on when we come across the likes of it in the text. I mean in the grammar. The messenger of Allah said, Inna Allah yarfa'u bihadha al-kitabi aqwaman wa yada'u bihi آخرين إن الله يرفع بهذا الكتاب أقواما ويضع به آخرين. Inna, right, we did. Inna means emphasis. Allah, so verily Allah, indeed Allah, surely Allah. However you want to translate the emphasis, doesn't matter. The main thing you know, inna is for emphasis. What Allah does, yarfa'u, elevates. Yarfa'u means He elevates. Allah elevates, be with hadha al-kitab, this book, right? Meaning the Quran. He elevates with this book. Aqwaman. Now I translated literally, right? Peoples. You know, you say that in English, right? Qawm means people. Aqwaman means peoples in Arabic, right? Qawm means people. It's a collective noun, so it implementing plural already by itself, right? But they have a plural for it too in Arabic. And the English, there is a plural, right? There is a plural, but it's not really used. So for example, if you get a group of people from India, next group from Pakistan, next group from Guyana, you can say they are different. They're all peoples, right? But if it's all from one place or one group, it's people. Huh?
Aqwam is not plural.
Yeah, that is what we're saying. Aqwam is peoples. Qawm is people. Aqwam is peoples. Right? So Allah elevates with this book peoples, meaning different groups of peoples. With this book, with the Quran, meaning because of the Quran. Right? In one way, for example, the person who memorized the Quran is given preference to lead the Salah over the one who didn't memorize the Quran. So he was elevated because of the Quran. Right? And this hadith came in a story, famous story with Umar radiallahu anhu. When one of his governor put a freed slave in charge of the people, and he said, "You put him in charge of the people, right? Because the people might not be pleased with somebody who was there from a family of a slave or something like that to rule them, right?" So he told Umar radiallahu anhu that he memorized the Quran. And then Umar mentioned this hadith. Why is it he was elevated even though he came from a lowly background? Right? Because of the Quran. That is what it meant. Indeed, Allah elevates with this book aqwaman, peoples. Now note, al-kitab means by itself the book. But it doesn't make, it's not gonna be correct grammatically, structurally, whatever you want to call it to say. Indeed, Allah elevates with this, the book, people. So how you know to say this book and not this, the book? Right, the context and, again, regular understanding of sentence structure in English, that is going to help you. So don't confuse yourself right now, right? When you translate it as the book and this book, the context is going to tell you if it's this the book or this is the book, right? That's the easiest way right now to figure out everything. But we're going to still go through it. I'm not sure which chapter. وَيَضَعُ بِهِ آخَرِينَ. Now yada is the opposite of elevate in this context, and he lowers. Now literally yada means to he places or he puts. There's a word. Right? So if I, for example, يَضَعُ الْمُدَرِّسِ الْمَاءَ عَلَى الْمَكْتَبِ. The teacher is placing the water on the table, right? There's a literal meaning to put, right? وَضَعَ الطَّالِبِ حَقِيبَتَهُ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ. The student placed his bag on the ground. Right? There's a literal meaning, but it can mean to lower. When you lower something, you put it down low, right? Yada. And it has other meanings too. So he elevates with this book peoples, right? Different groups of people. وَيَضَعُ, and he lowers with it آخَرِينَ, others. آخَرِينَ means others, right? آخَرُونَ and آخَرِينَ means others. Following, Hamza? Need some coffee? وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم أيضا, and the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم also say, you guys need this fan? Anybody hot? Just shut off this fan here for me. مثل المؤمن الذي يقرأ القرآن كمثل الأترجة. Right? Now this one you have some stranger words, so keep focused. You can go a little slow. مثل المؤمن الذي يقرأ القرآن كمثل الأترجة. مثل المؤمن الذي يقرأ القرآن كمثل الأترجة. Right? Famous hadith. مثل, we did مثل, right? What we did مثل? مثل الجليس الصالح والجليس السوء, right? The likes, the parable of the good companion and the bad companion, right? مثل. So مثل المؤمن, the likes of the believer, the parable of the believer, الذي, who يقرأ القرآن, reads the Quran, right? This who here is what you call, what is it in English? Asmal Mawsula. Okay. What do you call it in English? Like the boy who came, the man who cooked the food. What do you call that who there? No, you don't know English. Huh? مثل المؤمن الذي يقرأ القرآن. So the parable of the believer who reads the Quran. كَمَثَلِ الْأُتْرُجَّةِ. Ka, remember we said ka means like, right? الرَّجُلْ كَالْأَسَدِ. The man is like the lion, right? Muhammad كَالنَّمِرِ. Muhammad is like a namir, a tiger or something, right? So the parable of the believer who reads the Quran is like the parable of the utrujja. What is an utrujja? Utrujja is a citron fruit. Is a kind of is a citrus kind of fruit that has what do you call it? A good smell and a good taste and everything, right? Huh? No, not orange, but like an orange, a big orange. Rihuha, why is he like a utrujja? Right? Why is he like an utrujja? Look. Rihuha, the rih of the utrujja, the ha means it. Referring back to the utrujja, right? Utrujja feminine, so you use ha and not hu. Rihuha, it's scent, right? The scent of it. Tayyib is good. Wa ta'muha, and ta'muha, the taste of it. Ta'am means taste, right? From ta'am. Ta'am, food. The ta'am of the ta'am is the taste, right? Link all, easy to remember, right? Let me finish and then we take the questions. Wa ta'muha tayyib, and its taste is good, right? Rihuha tayyib wa ta'muha tayyib, and the taste is good. وَمَثَلُ الْمُؤْمِنِ الَّذِي لَا يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ, and the parable of the believer who لَا يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ, doesn't read the Quran. كَمَثَلِ التَّمْرَةِ, is like the parable of the date. Tamra, a single date. Tamar is dates, plural. Not plural, sorry, collective noun like. Tamra is a single date. La riha laha, right? It has no, rih means scent. Laha means belongs to it. La means negation, right? You know, it's a negation. Laha means belongs to it, right? So, no scent belongs to it, literally. La riha laha. No scent belongs to it. It doesn't have any scent, right? Alhamdulillah. All praise belongs to Allah. Lillah, right? That's this li. It can be li or it can be la depending on the word, but it's the same li. Why you say laha and not liha? Because it's easier, right? We did an example of when we mentioned change of things just to make it easy on the tongue. So la riha laha, right? No scent belongs to it. Wa ta'muha hul, and its taste is sweet, right? So in both they are good. This is similar to the hadith. The strong believer is more beloved than the weak believer, but in both they are good, right? So the one who reads the Quran, right, is better than the one who doesn't read the Quran. The one who reads the Quran, he is externally and internally good, right? He's externally good and he is pure, what do you call it? The scent of that goodness is coming from him. The hadith, the general meaning and the words clear? Somebody was going to ask something. You?
Is it tayyiba? Why would you not put tayyiba?
For what?
For rihuha tayyiba.
No, rih is masculine. And I think it can be feminine too. But rih, the word rih. Way is good. Not the uturujja is being described as good. The rih, right? Its scent is good. So if you say the uturujja is good, you're going to say al uturujja tayyibatun, to match, right? Or here you're describing the, or you're informing about the rih, about the wind, right? But it's masculine. I'm not sure. Some words it can be masculine and feminine. I'm not sure if rih is one of them. You have the vocabularies, right? Al-mufradat, yarfa'u, he elevates, right? Remember we said he is all, the pronouns and the verbs are always implied. Unless you put the actual noun, then you don't translate the pronoun. Yada, he places or lowers, aqwam, peoples, akharun, akharin, all others, right? Now note, akharun and akharin is others. Right? And then there is akhir is another word. Akhar. Yeah, akhar and akhir. Right? Akhir is like last. Right? Like from akhirah, right? The hereafter, because it's the last day. Fadl, favor, virtue. Right? We did this word before. Dhikr, remembrance or supplication. Qira'ah, reading, ala, on or upon, ha, can mean it or its, and also her or hers. Remember we said the it and its takes the same pronoun of his, of he and she, and so in Arabic. Uturujja, citron fruit, right? You can just Google it, you can see where is it. And it's the same, wherever it's the same exact thing for citron fruit, right? Mur, bitter. Now these are some additional vocabularies. The hadith is half of the hadith we mentioned. The last hadith is half of it. The second half talks about the hypocrites who read the Quran and the hypocrite who doesn't read the Quran. Right? Like the hypocrite who reads the Quran, the Prophet ﷺ described him as a rayhana. What is rayhan? Rayhana. Rayhana, the seasoning plant, we call it basil, and they call it in Guyanese call it, they get a few names. Marman poke, right? Same thing, basil, they got a next name for it. There's a third name for it, right? Now, in that, the description of the hypocrite is like the rayhana. Why? Because he given off a nice scent when you smell the basil, but if you chew it, is what? Mur, right? It's bitter. Yaqra, he reads, finish. Rih, scent. Mayyit, dead. Tamra, date. Hay, living. Now, some of these additional vocabs is from the rest of the hadith. I put it there for the benefit. Ta'am, alladhi, who, which, that, it can be one of these words, right? The man who came, the man that came, the man which came, you're going to know, depending on the meaning, what you want to say, you're going to use the appropriate English. Munafiq, hypocrite, hul, sweet, khalf behind, amam in front of, right? We did some of these before. Laban, milk, sukkarun, sugar, fawq, above, jamalun, naqatun, ibilun. All of these means camel, right? Jamalun, naqatun, ibilun, camel. Now there's a difference, right? For now, if the main thing you remember, all means camel. Jamal is the general camel, male or female. Naqa is female camel, and ibil is the male camel. So if you go to Saudi or Egypt, you don't go and say you want halib al-ibil, right? They're going to laugh at you. You can either say you want halib al-naqa or you want halib al-jamal, right? Because if you say jamal, it's going to be both, right? But don't say you want halib, the milk of the ibil, right? Maksur, broken, right? And all of these names in the Quran. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ, right? كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. هَذِهِ نَاقَةُ اللَّهِ لَكُمْ آيَةٌ. The story of Saleh, right? This is the naqa of Allah. وَالْخَيْلَ وَالْبِغَالَ وَالْجِمَالَ is the plural for Jamal. Jimal. وَالْخَيْلَ وَالْبِغَالَ وَالْهِمَارِ. Sorry, where is Jamal? In those words? Where is Jamal? Maksur, broken, maftu, opened. Tabib, doctor, sarikun, truthful, kadhibun, liar, muhandis, mechanic. No, muhandis is not. Muhandis is engineer, right? Muhandis, change muhandis, engineer, not mechanic. Mumarridun, mechanic is mechanique, right? They will use the same word. Mumarridatun, a nurse, well, a female nurse. Hub, love, shadid, severe, hadid, iron. The word la is generally used for negation.
So if it's a real nurse.
Huh? Mumarrid. Engineer. Okay. All right. 20. Any questions?
So we memorize these are the vocabularies that are not mentioned in the hadith.
Yeah, memorize everything. Everything memorize. You can't survive a language without memorizing everything in it. At least the vocab. Right? Everything. There's rarely any of these words except that is in a hadith or in the Quran. Rarely. Like muhandis is maybe one example, but all these other words is in a hadith or in the Quran, or you at least need it if you want to speak. Okay. Introducing the usage of Arabic pronouns. Now this lesson needs some digestion. So, right, tomorrow, inshallah, we're going to start with this. Now remind me, let's start with it before we do the conversation. And then we go to the conversation, right? Because it's like you said, it's a crash course. So here I put together is 3 different lessons that you normally learn into one lesson, right? And the main purpose is the exposure to the concepts and so on for the crash course. And like I keep mentioning, you gotta keep reviewing, right? You might not understand something now, but sitting in the class didn't mean that you waste all the time. Because the next time, something going to click. But if you didn't sit before, the next time you're going to be as lost as you was in the previous. But you got to make sure you keep following up, right, and reviewing. So we're going to leave this for tomorrow, inshallah. We're going to close off here. You have 8 minutes early, so we are finished. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Any questions or so, you can ask. Insha'Allah ta'ala.